Welcome. I sincerely hope that you were able to access the perseverance stage of our at-home pilgrimage last week. We shared the belief that perseverance was the hard work I have to do after the hard work I've already done. We heard that Jesus needed great perseverance to keep going in his mission despite the many challenges, and we ultimately in faith believe that the obstacles in front of us are never as great as the power behind us. Perseverance has most definitely been needed as we've navigated the many technical challenges we face, trying to work Compass and OneNote and Microsoft Teams. Perseverance was needed. This week's character strength, following the primary school model, is honesty. The place that we are doing this filming is a place where many students get the opportunity to demonstrate honesty, or its enemy, deceptiveness. Here in the Prosper Center with the fish tank behind me, many conversations are had to determine the truth of an incident or a circumstance. And I thought this would be a great place to have our little sharing on this topic of honesty. For a Christian, honesty and integrity are two sides of the one coin. In the Gospel of Matthew, he said, "Let your yes mean yes and your no mean no. To do otherwise is to act against God." And this simple passage contains a large number of spiritual truths about honesty. Essentially, our Christian journey, indeed our human journey, is to have our internal character reflect our external actions. This is the great challenge of honesty, and one that if we're honest all the way through our lives, we all struggle with. This passage is Jesus' way of saying that the words we speak and the actions we take must flow from the honesty present in our hearts. It's actually very common for people to live life in a two-faced way. And this may be something that you have struggled with in the past or in the present. It's easy to say only that which we believe benefits us the most, makes us look good, or makes a particular situation easier. It's a common tendency to say what we believe others want to hear, or to say that which paints our lives and our actions in the best light. True honesty and integrity requires that we speak only from the truth that resides within our hearts. We don't have a moral duty to reveal every truth in our hearts publicly. We don't have to tell everybody everything. Some things are reserved for ourselves and God. You deserve privacy, but we need to avoid secrecy. But when do we feel compelled to speak? When we do feel that, it's essential that our words carry the integrity of truth in every way. Otherwise, they're meaningless, deceptive, and ultimately destructive, not just to us, but to others. So I want you maybe to reflect on your own words and your own honesty and integrity. When you speak to others, do your words flow from the truth in your heart? When God hears your words, does he hear and see honesty? Have a little think about a conversation that you might have had recently. Can you return to prayer and face God in peace and with a clear conscience? If you struggle with honesty, know that it's honesty that produces integrity. Seek the goodness of integrity in your life, and God will help you achieve it by becoming a person who speaks truth and speaks it from the heart. We're here in Iona, and Iona is a place that needs students to be here, and yet students want honesty from teachers and parents just as much as parents and teachers crave honesty from the students and their sons. If we both want the same thing, why is it so hard to get there? Many parents and teachers worry about whether or not you are lying and what to do about it. Luckily, years of research in science does shed light on why we choose sometimes not to tell the truth. We're more likely, and you're more likely to be honest when you feel close to your parents and teachers, and when you are trusted enough to make independent decisions, and when you are given room for growth. I have affectionately described all Ionians, including myself, as a work in progress. And it's this life that we pray every day in our prayer that God has touched gently. So let's think for a moment about the place of lying in our development. Lying is a normal part of a child's development. Most of us knew how to lie by the age of 3. Over time, we became better at lying, some very good, but we also start to use it less. That all changes when we hit adolescence and you rediscover the art and the frequency of lying. And this is likely due to your growing need for independence. However, in your young adulthood, there is an overwhelming decline and less tolerance for lying. Young people lie for similar reasons as adults: to avoid being punished, to save face, to preserve others' feelings, to try to please, or simply to get away with things they want to. Lying is instinctual, and we have to work to adapt to different circumstances. Everyone does it, yet it's still maddening to be lied to. When the stakes are high, the truth becomes that much more important. The truth becomes that much more important. St. Eugene de Mazenod understood our need for development, and he implored the Oblates to help people become better human beings before becoming better Christians and before becoming saintly. It's in our humanness that this search for integrity becomes crucial for us. If we want a culture of honesty to exist within Iona and within our families and within our community, then we believe we have to hold to high expectations. We don't assume that students are immediately lying, but we also don't necessarily believe on the first telling of a story. Questions get asked, and the question gets asked differently in a way to bring about a more honest outcome. Jesus said that the truth will set you free, and the freedom he's referring to is having integrity in our heart. This is a character strength worth growing. For me, truthfully, it's at number 11, which means that I've got work to do to move it up my ranking list. I commit to that work. So may I suggest that you have a look at taking that character strength survey again, if you haven't completed it in the last 3 months, and maybe try and answer every question as truthfully as you possibly can. Not what other people want to hear, not what you think other people want you to say, but absolutely your own truth, and the results will be really accurate for you. So we continue to build on this perseverance theme of week 1, to have a good look at our internal motives and our external actions. I hope you get to discover that this is worth the effort. This journey is the journey into your heart. In wishing you well for this honesty challenge, I really thought it would be important to tell you a story. I think an extraordinary story of honesty, one that completely, honestly surprised me. A few years ago, some of you might remember that we placed "I respect" stickers all over the school. Some people thought there were too many, some people wondered about some of the messages, but ultimately they were trying to show that respect had a place here and that we should try and aim for it. After about a month, one of the stickers was damaged and scratched and graffitied and destroyed, really, and it was completely confusing. I thought, why would somebody destroy a sticker? Why, when it's promoting respect? Now the sticker was "I respect St. Lawrence's." I respect St. Lawrence's, which I thought was a fairly simple sort of message, and I then wondered, why did somebody destroy that? I was really determined to find who was the person in the school who did it. I remember speaking at assembly and I was annoyed. We went through every possible reason somebody would have had something against St. Lawrence's. Were they suspended from a sports team against St. Lawrence's? Were they once at St. Lawrence's and got expelled? Did they have some vendetta against black and gold? We went through every scenario. We spent hours and hours trying to work out who it might have been. And at an assembly I said, I'm sorry, I don't understand why this behaviour would occur. If anyone knows anything, I'd really appreciate it if you could come and tell me. Knowing that by and large that wouldn't mean that. So I was sitting in my office, in the rector's office, and then there was a knock at the door of a student. And the student came in and said, I think I've got some information about that sticker getting destroyed. And I was very interested at that point. Well, who was it? What do you know? And he said, it was me. I did it. And then I went, well, sit down, young man. Let's have a bit of a conversation about this. Very first of all, thank you for coming to be honest, but I am curious. What did you have against St. Lawrence's? Why did you hate St. Lawrence's so much that you wanted to destroy that one sticker out of hundreds? And he said, I didn't even know which sticker it was. I just scratched it. It didn't actually mean anything that it was St. Lawrence's. And so part of me was a bit unexpecting of that answer, because I wondered what the anger about St. Lawrence's was. And then the attention focused to him. And I said, what an incredibly brave decision it would be for him to come to my office, to knock on the door and to say that he did the damage. He obviously trusted enough that the consequence he would receive would be less than the guilt that he was going to carry around, knowing that he'd done something that was so unnecessary. And so I remember then the communication with his family about how incredibly proud I was of his honesty. And the conversation wasn't about what he did wrong, but it was about what he did right. And I think that in that instance, he made a decision that he wasn't going to let that untruth stay in his life. And I really was very surprised at that. I'm not sure I would have had the courage as a student to be able to do that. I felt really, really happy that he knew that the consequence he would receive was not going to be above what he could handle. And I just want to commend him. His parents were a bit unsure how to react. Was it happy for his honesty or unhappy for his destruction? We landed with happy for his honesty. So it is possible. If you trust the process, trust that sometimes the worst things that happen to us can bring about the best things that happen in us. That's why honesty matters. Best wishes. Good luck for the challenge. We're with you. Kia kaha. Thank you.